Hey guys, my name is Admiral Midnight Camelwolf, or Matthew. Today I will be your pilot in command, and today I'm going to take you through sort of why aviation has contributed to STEM. Believe it or not, this PowerPoint was something very special to me. This is what helped me graduate and pass the class of Advanced Quantum Reasoning, or AQR. What you'll see up in the top right corner is Kilo Echo Lima Papa. That is our home base. This is really old. This is not current. But the original date was 16/18/51 Zulu, which is Zulu time for us pilots. Winds back then were variable at 4 knots. Visibility was greater than 10 miles. There were few clouds at 1,600 feet, few clouds at 2,500 feet. And then it goes from there, okay? It goes from there. But let's get started. So today, we're going to actually have to do a little bit on the synopsis. So what exactly is the synopsis? As I flip through my actual book here. So the synopsis is what we're going to study today. So today we're actually going to study Newton's laws. We're going to apply those laws to the forces of flight. Then we're going to take a look into how an engine works. From there, we're going to go to my favorite sections, the history of aviation, from the start all the way up to what we have now and on. And then we're going to take a look at the technologies benefiting and resulting from aviation starts. Okay? Let's get started. But first, we have to talk a little bit about our sponsor today. Now, keep in mind, I am not paid sponsored, but they allowed me to use these aircraft. This is Elite Premier Virtual, my virtual airline. I don't own it, I'm a pilot. My number is EPV 1051 Cal 255. I am their newest CRJ pilot once my thing gets fixed, but I have been a pilot with them for over 3 months. The best community. If you are a fan of flight sim, come to Elite Premier Virtual. We always enjoy company. If you are willing to talk aviation, keep it PG like how we have here. There's no cussing, no damn, no hell, no nothing. Come to Elite Premier. The best community in flight simming. Elite Premier Virtual. Alright, so let's get started today. So, today, we're going to study, first, let's get into this, shall we? Studying Newton's laws. Newton's first law. And of course, I'm pretty sure a lot of you will know most of these things. I'm just going to be repeating this. Don't mind me. This is just me rambling. An object in motion will remain in motion. An object at rest will remain at rest, unless acted upon by an outside force. P equals m times v. This is momentum equals mass times velocity. This is just Newton's law of inertia, okay? Calm down. I know I'm going to get into a lot of this. Keep it calm. We're good. Next. Whoa. Freaky photo. Newton's second law. Newton's second law. But first, let's see what math is used. So, we'll use, of course, we won't. The engineers will. The engineers and the designers of these new bigger aircraft, like say this back one here on our lower right, this is a Boeing 747, the queen of the skies. She is still queen of the skies, even though she's got retrofitted. But Newton's second law is force is equal to mass times acceleration. Oh my god, this has been repeated to me. I hear my science teacher in the back of my head. I know. Just listen to me now. This is my math time. Believe it or not. Newton stated the acceleration of an object is proportional to the magnitude of the force. Vectors. But in math terms, F foxtrot is equal to delta P over delta T. Or a force, which is foxtrot, is a change in momentum over time. Okay? Seem easy enough? Great. Let's keep going. Newton's third law, for my favorite law. For every action or force, there is an equal and opposite reaction or force. So what exactly does this mean? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of you know what it means, but let's put this into an example, shall we? Of course, this is going to be longer than my 10 minutes that I had to present this originally. But if I punch, I don't know, my best friend who's sitting next to me, of course, not willing to speak or anything, but let's say my friend's standing next to me. I just straight punch him in the face. Yes, if you notice, I punch him, his face is going to go to the right or whichever way I punch him, and he's going to go that way. Of course, then he'll retaliate and punch me harder. Equal and opposite reaction. Now let's apply what we just learned to the forces of flight. Whoop, and then I skip it too much. So, of course, this is what we have. This is an airfoil. Believe it or not, the wind above it, above the airfoil, is moving way faster than the wind down below. The initial velocity, V1, is moving horizontally compared to wind at velocity 2, at vector 2. If you look at it, it curves up and it goes boom, it hits down. It goes diagonally downward. That's just the way it is. So let's take a look into how an engine works. Of course, this is kind of stupid, but this is where my 4 favorite words, I can only use this in 4 English words. Suck, squeeze, bang, and blow. No, do not get mad at me. I'm not being sexual. Okay, just a little bit. But this is a turboprop, okay? So the turboprop, the all movement will be done by your propeller. Of course, that's simple. But the propeller will intake air, otherwise known as an air intake. Then by the compressor blades, it'll squeeze. It's just getting tighter in there. It's getting so tight that it's pushing itself to the back. Just like in your car, the compressor blades in your car compresses the air. Your combustion chamber, it mixes fuel to the already air right there. It ignites it to create your bang. Of course, then your turbine will expand it out a little bit more, give yourself a little bit better, bigger area to expel the hot gases. Farts. Just reminded me of farts today. I don't know. And then the nozzle will blow or vent the hot air. So how is this used in modern math? So here we have our 4 simple words: suck, squeeze, bang, and blow. It's still being used today. This is a modern turbofan and turbofan. So you'll see this thing here at the start. It's an M.1. What does this mean? Somebody explain this to me, and I didn't get to explain this, so let me explain this here. M dot is the mass flow rate, and mass flow rate is a description of how much mass passes through an area over a period of time. In this case, mass flow rate is how much air mass passes through the inlet of an engine in 1 second. Okay? So you still have your squeeze from your compressor blade, you still have your bang going on. Of course, you still got your expand, but this time it is a lot bigger force out the back of the engine, the trailing of the engine, to expel, vent out the back, where you blow. You'll get more power blowing than you will sucking. Or Newton's second law. Force is equal to delta P over delta T. Same thing applies here. Now, my favorite part. Let's take a look at a little bit of the history. Of course, a lot of this was helped to me by one of my best friends who could not make it today because I didn't ask him to. But, without him, I would not have made this for you guys and for my class. So, let's take a look at the aviation history, shall we? My section. What is this? This is the first successful heavier-than-air powered flight. This is December 7th, 1903. Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. The Wright brothers, high school dropouts. Imagine that. High school dropouts making the kickstart the entire part of aviation. Imagine that. Now, yeah, not only they were bike mechanics, but come on, man. Got to start somewhere. They were high school dropouts. So, why do we need to care about this? Well, Orville and Wilbur Wright got started in the late 1890s. Of course, this is from the Aerospace Smithsonian. This is from the Smithsonian, actually. But here's the simple thing, and I want you guys to put comments down below, because I'm going to ask you a series of questions throughout the entire presentation. But did you know they just out of this entire 4 flights, 1900, 1901, 1902, and their famous 1903, of course it wasn't really their famous, but they answered simple questions. What is propulsion? What control surfaces do we need? What are the structures needed to maintain a proper structure to fly? And what are aerodynamics? They actually had a wind tunnel back then. What? Sounds so modern? They actually had it back in 1900. I'm not talking like stupid. I'm just explaining this how I explained this in class. But do you know how long their longest flight was? I'll let you think about that. Now, whoa, we just hit World War I. This is Nazi Germany. Of course, it wasn't Nazi Germany back then. It was just Germany. But this is the Fokker DR-1. Or the Red Baron. Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron, was the ace of aces, credited with 80 air combat victories. His aircraft was the Fokker DR-1. He had a tri-wing instead of a biplane. All the other countries had little biplanes. They loved flying around with their biplanes. He had a tri-wing. If you added any more wings to it, it's just going to collapse in on itself because it's structurally unsound. It's completely going to collapse in on itself. That's no good. His aircraft was able to outmaneuver the enemy. But who was his enemy? Yes, it was the Americans. Yes, it was the British. Yes, it was everybody. But who was his true enemy? But let's take a look a little bit into his Fokker cockpit, shall we? It's just like your car. Unlike the Wright brothers who just had a stick. Okay, let's go full throttle. And here, gone. No control. They had, in World War I, Fokker invented this, and he made this a little bit better. So you have a fuel gauge, just like you do in your car. You have a tachometer, or your RPM gauge. This is something you don't notice, but you have an oil pulsator. You do have a clock. You actually have a clock in your car. You say you don't, but I know you do. All you people who drive new cars do. You don't have an altimeter, but this just tells you how high you are. Some cars actually have been retrofitted that I've seen that have an altimeter to tell them how high they are. You got your fuel mixture, which you don't control that. Your gas pedal does. More fuel, hey, I'm going faster. Your throttle, again, fuel. It's just your gas pedal. The fuel mixture, I normally put it all the way up so I can get the max amount of fuel into my engine. You have magnetos. Of course, you have a compass. I know all cars do. So, that was World War I. World War II. Of course, I'm only covering famous parts of history. There were so many aircraft in World War II. We had the B-17, we had the P-51, we had the Mikoyan Gorevich 20, either way, we had a bunch of military aircraft. There was just too many for me to cover. So, I covered some of the most famous ones. This one is the Horton HO-229. Thank you so much for the War Thunder, though. Ooh, actually, I changed it in here, because I actually did cover the B-17 originally. But everybody knows the B-17. So, whoa, that's a lot of text for me to read. So, this is going to be this long part. Let's just put it this way. This aircraft was able to outperform the enemy, and it's only made out of wood. This aircraft, which I have a 3D printed model right here in my hand. Of course, we can't see it, but I have managed to 3D print a fully, small scale HO-229. This aircraft, being made out of wood, was still able to avoid radar. This is the first version of stealth capability to fly absorbing radar. This is the first thing that immediately stands out with the HO-229 was incredibly how maneuverable it is. How incredibly maneuverable it is. Jeez, I cannot English today. What is with me? I guess I'm just so excited. This is my first video in a long time for you guys. By the way, I am sorry I actually broke away from YouTube. I've been trying to find a job and everything just so I can make a little extra cash. YouTube's not real nice with their payments. Cough, cough. Thanks, YouTube. But I'm actually shutting off my headset right now. There we go. So I can actually hear myself just a tad bit better. This aircraft's able to outmaneuver their enemy by tenfold. The enemy has barely time to look and it's gone. This aircraft has two launched, the revised air intakes engines moved forward to correct longitudinal imbalance in this aircraft. This aircraft has two Junkers Jumo 004 Bravo, or B, jet engines installed within the airframe, which just makes it look perfect. I mean, look at this thing. I see this thing flying, I don't want to touch that thing. By the way, you know, this thing is just awesome. Not only that, this thing had two, count them, two 33mm Mark 103 cannons. That is no way terrible. This thing will take out a P-51. Best. I know, I'm sounding horrible right now, but that's because I have a fan going. It's hot. I'm just chilling out right now in my back room trying to record this on my TV. Well, not on my TV, on my computer. Jesus. So, let's take a look into the modern times now. Of course, I actually did not add this into my book, but the Boeing 707 from 2009 to now and beyond. This aircraft is my child. I've rode in this aircraft. This is actually one of my favorite aircraft. Inside the aircraft, which I don't have any pictures in here, it has LEDs on the roof or ceiling that allows you to transition through time zones way better than a standard aircraft would. Standard aircraft being Airbus, or excuse me, Scarebus, Crash 8s or Dash 8s, Bombardier CRJs, Boeing 737, 74, 75, 76, 777, 777s. Jeez, I am running out of breath with this. But let's take a look at this thing. So, this airframe has been allowed to access two different engines, or two different engine companies, Rolls-Royce and General Electric. Keep in mind, General Electric's way to go. In the picture, this is a Rolls-Royce Boeing 787. This aircraft is made of 5% other materials, 10% steel, 5% titanium, 20% aluminum, and 50% composites. By comparison, the 777 uses 12% composites and 50% aluminum. So this thing is lighter. It has a special toilet just to accommodate the wheelchair passengers. A 56 by 57 lavatory has a movable wall so that two lavatories, or bathrooms, restrooms, same thing, can be converted to one to allow access for these passengers. Wow. It's been so much change from World War II. Very few planes, very few props, very few jets. I think some of the biggest jets that we've built in World War II are the 6 turning 4 burning P-36. And that's just to name one compared to our others, like the F-86 Sabres that came after World War II. But this aircraft is just so much lighter. Of course, you can't physically sit there and pick it up. Come on now. That'd be fun, but highly unlikely. This has, if you look at the engines, I know you can see my mouse. you'll see these little tooth-ended tooth bits at the end of the engine. That's to help quiet down both the inside of the aircraft and in the cabin and cockpit, and it reduces it outside as well. You know how when you hear them fly over, they sound like they're about to crash right into you? This thing sounds quieter. Yes, you can still hear it, but it has reduced it dramatically. Now, let's take a look at the technologies benefiting from aviation. Can anybody guess what this is? Let me know down in the comments below. But, too late, I'm already going to do it. This is atmospheric research. We need to know what the weather is, because if we don't, we could fly. Quick question, has anybody ever seen the movie Flight? If you have, comment down below. Really great movie, I'm not going to ruin it. But in the opening, you'll see them, they're in a rainstorm. Well, that could mean delays. We need more fuel if it's raining. You know, we're expecting a huge weather delay. We'll need more fuel to hold out to coming in. Or in case we have to divert, we have to have the fuel to divert. So, but that's just a few atmospheric researches. There will be more later. Of course, aerodynamics. Much like your car, we need to know aerodynamics. Not us as pilots, but the engineers do. Most of this is based around the engineers and what they do, but mostly it's to us. For the atmospheric research, it's nice to have curved windows, so that way the rain can just sit there and go whoosh, and it goes away. Of course, we still have wipers when we're coming in on approach. But, I mean, it'll still disappear. It'll still move off the car, move off the windshield. But better aerodynamics include better fuel economy, and that's always a perk. I don't want to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on fuel every day of a flight. And, you know, that's just something that we enjoy. So, let's get on to the next one. Now, I know this has nothing to do with aviation, but aerospace. Aerospace. Has anybody ever heard of the flying brick? Oh, I'm sorry. The space shuttle. Yes, it's a flying brick, but it's a glider. It's a flying glider, in a way. It comes in, no engines, it's just gliding in on its own aerodynamics. Now, of course, that has very little to do with aviation, but the next one interests me so much that I had to look more into it for you guys. Anybody know what this is? Yes, there's an ocean. Yes, there's clouds. Yes, there's ground. But oceanography. Aircraft can drop tiny pods. Goodbye, my children. Oh, I'm so glad I graduated when I did with my friends. But I am probably making this extremely long here, so let's try hurrying this up just a smidge. Oceanography. It'll drop tiny pods to measure CO2 levels inside the ocean, which will then, the ocean will give off said CO2 and report it back to the plane and boats on the ground and ocean. Now, weather. Of course, everybody, like I said, everybody talks about the weather. The weather influences what altitude we fly at, how much fuel is needed for a safe flight, and of course, which runway is safe to land on. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be sitting here trying to fly a large jumbo jet like the 747 into a huge crosswind that could kill you guys and me. That's just me. Now, this is NOAA's Hurricane Hunters, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. Their 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Squadron, Hurricane Hunters, fly into these hurricanes, measuring atmospheric pressures and everything that they need to know. They can actually predict where's this tornado going to go next. Now, what does the future have in storage for us? People like us that are passengers and want to, want to go somewhere different. Well, there's something here called a detachable cabin. I'm going to link this video down below to describe this a little bit better, but your plane has an emergency on takeoff, landing, and cruise. The cabin will detach, it'll deploy parachutes, and just before it detaches, though, the cabin crew in the actual cockpit will climb into the cabin with you guys. We'll sit there, detach, parachutes will deploy as we get closer, airbags will deploy to let us float on the water or gently land on ground. If it's in the city, we'll be smart enough to fly around it and land there. But sometimes it's not always the best. Just before it touches down, though, rockets will deploy to make it a lot smoother landing. And just like that, I think it's time for us to go away. Of course, I'm always sad by this because I'm not a fan of saying goodbye. But I just want to thank you guys so much for listening to this. And I know this isn't the most interesting thing that I've done. Of course, we've seen videos of me and speaking about things, but I just wanted to take the time still to thank our partners back at Elite Premier. Of course, I'm sitting here having to tab through all this. Of course, I seriously just want to thank our friends and family over at Elite Premier. They have done so much to give me the courage to come in here to talk with you guys just a little bit about them. So I seriously hope you take the initiative to come on to Elite Premier. You must be 15 years or older. Oh, no, not really. No, just come in. Just come into Elite Premier. So once you come into Elite Premier, you'll see people like me who are just enjoying aviation. And the best part about this, you'll get to meet new people who love aviation just as much as you guys. So, with that being said, I've been your host, Admiral Midnight Camel Wolf, and I will see all of you guys in the next hunt. Goodbye.